Beautiful. Cool. And then when we're done, just you can either upload it or send me over
Yeah,
the
yeah,
file.
I'll upload it. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah, Jordan, actually, that's exactly what I was thinking with the ultra low latency because it can't be an internet problem. I have fiber optic gigabyte speed internet, so I know that the lag shouldn't be shouldn't be from that. So I was thinking about the ultra low latency. So I'll try that again next time. But I've never had buffering problems or lag problems with YouTube Live in the past, so it's kind of strange for me. What will it auto adjust to? 720 probably, something like that.
Well, like we're using 720. Like,
Yeah, it'll do. Okay, perfect. All right, still got some people trickling in. Um,
yeah, maybe just let's just get started. We recorded anyway.
yeah, sure, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have people trickle in. I'm having us just everything get updated. So yeah, we were where we left off was talking a little bit about the kind of energy efficiency and some of the problems in the kind of Bitcoin mining space. Obviously, the FUD created by China's government and kind of banning Bitcoin mining. But I wanted to touch on an important topic because I know that, and I saw you actually tweet at Elon Musk when this became a thing, and I definitely upvoted that or retweeted it. But can you talk a little bit about the kind of energy efficiency that comes with Meter as a project?
Yeah, actually, I think the reason the like green mining type of thing is just like agenda of like different people. I
Yeah.
mean, as it was never an issue before, and it was not a real issue, but people just brought it up to promote their own agenda. Like, the majority of the Bitcoin mining has been always hydro. Hydro is like as clean as solar if it's not cleaner. And also, um, I think people are mixing up, even like Vitalik is mixing up a lot of different concepts in crypto, like um, the proof of work mining. Proof of work itself is not a consensus. Proof of stake is not a consensus either. There's something called Sybil resilience. Basically, you need to be able to figure out a way to differentiate whether this person is just a bot randomly created
Yeah.
or there's some substance attached to it. So the way people are doing this is called Sybil resilience to prevent counterfeit, essentially counterfeit identities. So there are two ways to do it right now. One is called proof of work. It's you do some like computation work. That means you can not randomly just create identities because you have to like do work in order to prove the identity. Or there's a proof of stake. You have to have some like capital attached to it. So you cannot randomly create things. But like both of these techniques are just something to prevent like people from counterfeiting identities. It's not part of the consensus. It's not part of maintain the security of record keeping. So with maintaining the record keeping, there's like two different consensus right now, two style of consensus. One is the Nakamoto consensus, basically is what Bitcoin uses. It's the
Okay.
longest or heaviest chain. So whichever chain is the longest or have more computation, um, basically that chain is being preferred. So this is not like a real consensus because there's no finality. Like, however, there's an economic like value attached to it because the more computation attached to a chain, the less likely that chain can be like a malicious or like fake chain. So that assumption is majority of the computation honest. There's also like another style of consensus called the Byzantine fault tolerant consensus. So basically that consensus have finality. And right now, a lot of the high performance chain are based on this, including the Ethereum 2.0. So that consensus is often like it's a voting process essentially. If 2/3 of the people participating in the record keeping agreed on the result of a record keeping or a record, that record is being finalized and it's the final record. And because of that, it's higher performance, and also it doesn't really need to have like a proof of work calculation. You can use a proof of stake calculation because there's no computation assumed in there. So that's what most people, I mean, like most high performance chain are using nowadays. But like the way we're designing consensus in Meter is that we realize the proof of work consensus is essentially just economic consensus. It's not helping the record keeping. It's not necessarily to use it for record keeping. So we only use proof of work to create the newly needed MTR in the system. And we use a proof of stake for doing the Sybil resilience for record keeping. Because we changed the economic gain of this design, the behavior will be different as well. So for example, in Bitcoin, the amount of hashing power in the network directly correlates to the price of Bitcoin or the market cap of Bitcoin. But in Meter, it actually correlates to the incremental market cap, actually what's really needed in the economy. If any new currencies are needed, then there's a need for like new MTR and new hashing power. If there's no need for additional like currency in the system, I mean, like proof of work can even stop running. So because of this design, it's actually much more efficient than the original like Bitcoin. And we actually did like a calculation in order to support the US economy size and growth, the amount of hashing, I mean, the amount of hashing power or mining costs needed per year, it's similar to the annual budget of US Mint and US Engrave and Print. So it can be as efficient as fiat currency. So like proof of work is really not the issue for like cryptocurrency here. It's the way how we design the economic gain for cryptocurrency, I would say.
Got it. Okay. That sounds fantastic. And we do have a couple of questions, guys. Don't forget also, if you do have any questions, it's a great place to be able to ask them and to be able to go over some things. I already got a couple good questions. So when it comes to Meter Passport versus a regular bridge, or even people have heard you talk about the fact that we can bridge things as well. Can you maybe just talk about what Passport is offering different than a kind of traditional bridge setting?
Yeah, I mean, like there are a couple of differences. The one difference is like a lot of bridge or like cross-chain swap, what their focus is like to build a swap or like build an asset transfer across the bridge, I mean, across different chains. So what Passport is doing is it's not only do that, it also help information to transfer from one chain to another chain. So it's very similar to like in an operating system. So you have one process talking to another process, or like one program talking to another program. So in computer science, we call it like remote procedure calls. So which allows one program to talk to another program, or even talk to another program on another network. So that with the Passport capability enables that type of like communications across like program boundaries or like chain boundaries. So that's one thing like Passport is different from a traditional bridge. And also like for a traditional bridge, like people are typically just connect one chain to another chain. But Passport is like an N by N matrix type of thing. So any chain in the network can directly connect to another chain. So for example, in the current setting, Ethereum can go directly to BSC instead of going through like Meter. So that's another like difference. And finally, security.
Before we move on past that point, could you maybe just elaborate how that's going to benefit any project that's going to be utilizing those connections? Because that's a really big point, and I think people would love to see the real world application of that. Of
Yeah,
course,
so it's just like a more direct communication and less overhead, and simplification for programming model essentially. Just imagine like, for example, if you and me want to like talk through like Zoom or like through Google Hangout. One way is we both connect to like a server on the internet and we communicate with that server. And obviously we hit into problems that like just now what you run into, right, on YouTube Live. If that server have some settings issues, even both of us have good internet connections, we still have problem like communicating. But like what a router essentially allow you to build like a direct communication, a P2P direct communication between you and me. So as long as the communication channel between us are good, so we can have very high quality communications. So that's a high level concept. So less middleman and less overhead. And also from like a programmer's perspective, I mean, like the existence of the passport can be completely hidden. The smart contract can just see itself as it's somehow through a communication channel is talking from its instance on Ethereum to its own instance on BSC, for example. It doesn't have to know what's powering the communication channel. So that's actually leads to the security issue we're talking about. Because majority of the bridge nowadays, you see, although many of them claim to be like decentralized, but it's actually centralized. For example, some of the bridge you see, if the transfer size is bigger than a certain amount, it may take like 12 hours. So I mean, a computer program doesn't take that long to execute, right? It's someone running behind the scene trying to like fill the liquidity pools and stuff like that. So obviously there's like centralization aspect in there. But when we design Passport, we want it to be like decentralized. So right now, we do that type of consensus on the target chain. So if you look at Etherscan on the your Passport transfers, you see like a bunch of like transactions for relayers. We have 5 relayers currently online. They're voting on chain and you can see those transactions. It's completely transparent. And the wallet is managed by a multi-sig contract maintained by the 5 relayers as well. So currently it's us, it's Protofire, Infinity Stones, Hashquack, and Vitess, like all reputable service providers. And later this year, we're gonna have an upgrade to the bridge. Essentially what it does is it allows a limited number of relayers. So instead of just 5, we can have maybe like 20, 50, like high quality service providers managing the multi-sig wallet and the communication channel to prevent anyone from either have infrastructure issues like temporary downtime or like any like in the likely situation, any of the relayers are malicious. So there will be overwhelming majority of honest relayers to make sure the communication channel is correct and also like fast.
Okay.
So that's the goal of the next generation of Meter Passport, and also because of when we have a lot of relayers, it becomes a consensus problem essentially. It's because all these relayers have to agree on what they have seen on each chain. So that becomes very similar to what we're doing on Meter or like on a layer 1 protocol. So at that point, we'll use the Meter chain as a consensus chain for among the relayers. it's going to be very similar to like Polkadot's like root chain, except we're like doing this consensus for like heterogeneous chains instead of just like whatever built in our framework.
Exciting stuff. Let's touch on a couple more questions here. Someone actually, I'd heard this question before too. So I would personally like to know the answer to this one as well. When it comes to the hot stuff consensus style, do you see the question here about scaling with validators and comparing it to Avalanche? That there was some type of, I don't know, scaling issue that Avalanche potentially addressed that we weren't.
Yeah, so actually Avalanche and hot stuff consensus, I mean, Avalanche have its own like, I think it's right now it's the Snowman consensus for their like C chain.
Uh-huh.
And the main difference between the two consensus is we're just taking like two different trade-offs. What Avalanche is trying to do is they're trying to be as decentralized as possible. So it wants to support like tens of thousands of nodes doing consensus. So what we're trying to do is we're not trying to be the most decentralized chain, but we want to be like very highly decentralized, like a layer 2 protocol. So that's why like we focus more on like finality instead of, because we're targeting like a financial type of applications. All the transactions need to be finalized immediately. So we want to prefer like finality faster than like decentralization, but we want reasonable decentralization. So what we support is like we can support like simultaneous consensus group in like a couple thousand range. And then like we can pick these like consensus pool from a bigger pool of potential validators. So that's our design. What Avalanche design is, it prefers like decentralization over like speed of finality. So in Avalanche, there's no like finality actually. There's only probabilistic finality. So I have a high chance of finalize. So that's a main difference. But the technique is very similar. In Avalanche, instead of trying to reach consensus for the entire group, it randomly pick a subset of like neighbors, try to reach consensus among the neighbors, and keep on changing the subsampling neighbors. So it's very similar to the technique that we use when there's a like big enough consensus group. We pick a committee out randomly out of the potential candidate pool. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's like very similar, but it's just different trade-offs, I would say.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Another question about exchanges and any potential exchanges that we are working with or anything coming up. I know we did just start, actually, I personally just started a little bit of a conversation with Orion. They're doing some self-listing stuff, so that could be something on the horizon. Xiaohan, any other updates on
so at this point,
exchange?
I think like the only changes that make sense for us is like the top exchanges. Because if you look at the current depth and liquidity on Pancake, it's already like pretty sufficient for our existing market cap. And also when we launch MeterSwap, there will be like more liquidity on the main chain as well. So I wouldn't say liquidity is an issue for Meter anymore moving forward. I mean, in that case, we just need to focus on like the bigger, the highest tier of exchanges. And I mean, as you probably know, like these exchanges have very strict NDA requirement. So we can only announce it when it's available, when we're ready to list or when they're ready to list us. So that's a situation. So we will keep the community like posted, but we cannot like comment on anything related to these exchanges yet. But I mean, the only thing I can say is we are actively working with them.
Yeah, and then that's the tough part for anybody that's watching. I know you want to ask. Everybody's always asking about exchanges. Essentially, they have a sign like even if we are working with them, we can't really tell you. Essentially, they're going to have us go through like an NDA, so we can't really give you too many specifics regardless. But just know exactly like Shanhan said, behind the scenes, we're putting in work. We're making sure that we're addressing every single major issue that there could be, and then even stopping potential issues from coming down the road by preemptively dealing with said problems. So yeah, don't worry. Anything that you're interested in learning more about, we're going to give you all the information that we can. Unfortunately, there's going to be certain stipulations that don't allow us to tell you everything. Cool. Looks like we got another question here about the integration of different UI. I think they're asking about people being able to create like a fork to build other. So they're using the example of like Uniswap or Pancake forks being able to use to build other dexes. I think they're asking about maybe people building other like meter passports, something along those lines. I think.
But it's not just UI; it's also like smart contracts or stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I would say infrastructure will become commodity. So we are actually, it's more about the network effect we create. So
Yes.
that's why we're actively working with projects like Ampleforce and other things. And we have like some new ecosystem project we're working on ourselves as well to like not just bring infrastructure, but also liquidity on top of the infrastructure, which have more network effect and will be like long lasting.
Cool. And let's touch on because I think it's obviously something that we've been talking about for a while now, and people are very excited about. Let's spend a little bit of time talking about what's coming up with MeterSwap and some of the updates that are going to be coming from that.
Yeah, first, I know people are like still wondering why the MeterSwap is not launched yet. So there's some technical issues. I mean, although like everything on the swap side is working, but like for example, like Uniswap, you have like Uniswap info, which is powered by Graph. So we need to, in order for like a swap to run properly, we need to provide that type of like graphical insight into the trading activities. So we're actively working on the graph integration right now, and we will like start launching MeterSwap when that integration is completed. And also, we're looking at launching a new token for MeterSwap. So it's gonna be like a community token, 100% giving to the community. So it's more to promote the bootstrap of the entire ecosystem. So yeah, we're also working on like what should be the right initial. Obviously, it will be given to the token holders for governance, but we need to have a rough plan of how to launch it and how to like bootstrap the initial like liquidity mining pools, things like that. And then the token holders can use governance process to change the like listings, the mining designs, things like that. So we're working on those type of details before we can launch it.
All right, beautiful. And let's see, anything else? Prioritizing development. So there's a question about what are we kind of putting an emphasis on, or how do we have dedicated developers on things like Passport, MeterSwap, synthetic assets? What's kind of the main focal points and where the developers' time is being allocated?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, like the first version of MeterSwap, I mean, like the Passport is already launched. So right now it's more on business development side and partnership side to have a strong collaborators on the platform. On the MeterSwap side, we're mainly doing the graph integration. The swap itself is like more or less completed. Where right now, like the main focus is, yeah, on the application level, it's going to be like the lending, borrowing, and synthetic assets. That's what we're spending most of the time working on right now. And I would say that's probably like around 3 months or so to launch.
All right, Beautiful. That's a great timeline. And then you did mention new version of Passport as well. Do you have
Yeah.
any type of timeline there?
We're looking towards the end of the year.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Any previews of starting pairs that can be
The
expected
starting
on?
pairs, obviously, there will be like the swap pair. I mean, the swap token, like to MTRG pairs. There will be like MTRG related pairs, like um, MTRG to like USDT, ETH, and also there will be like stablecoin pairs because we want like to facilitate the communication between BSC and like Ethereum, for example. So there will be, for example, BUSD from BSC to like the USDT pair. I mean, to USDT from Ethereum, that type of pairs. So I think that's already like, if you look at this list, it's already like I would say around 10 already. So I think that should be like a good launch. I mean, in terms of like what people can do on top of it.
Awesome. And I had got a couple of questions from people about specifically kind of how the meter swap token would have any type of positive or negative effect on MTRG. Could you elaborate on the effect that you see would be coming with that type of token release?
I would say it's similar to like, let's say, what's the effect of Uni token or like Sushi to Ethereum, right? And you can see like after Sushi Swap launches, what's the performance of Ethereum? So it just brings more like users, more like applications and use cases for the MTRG. Because I mean, a lot of trading pairs will have MTRG in there because
Yeah,
it's a native token.
yeah, and that's a really important point, guys. It adds more use case to MTRG. So in fact, it could make it stronger. I know a couple people were wondering if it was going to have a negative impact, but we're looking at really a net positive here. Plus, there's other
Just
applications.
imagine, for example, like it gives you another like token you can farm with MTRG.
Yeah. Plus, we're going to want to be utilizing tokens for different things later without necessarily wanting to increase the circulating supply of something like MTRG too high, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, great. And then let's see. We have another question. So, elaborating on the last pair, someone mentioned the BUSD from Binance and USDT from ETH.
So, like for example, the BUSD. That's what I'm saying is the BUSD from BSC. So right now, for example, what we have in the Pancake is MTRG to BUSD trading pairs, right? But this BUSD is only available from BSC. It's not available from Ethereum because the Ethereum version of BUSD will be different from the BUSD on BSC. So that's there because of the subtle difference. A lot of people doesn't realize this. Only Binance can do the like conversion, like for these two versions. For in a decentralized way, we cannot do that the conversion. So that's why I'm saying like in order to facilitate the arbitraging or like trading opportunities between BSC and Ethereum, what we need to do is we need to provide like a trading pair on meter swap of BSC version of BUSD and the USDT from Ethereum. So anyone want to like arbitrage trade a trade in BSC on the Pancake Swap and listing on Uniswap, what they can do is they can convert the token to USDT and use a meter swap to convert the USDT to BUSD and then do the corresponding trade on Pancake.
Beautiful. And a question that people are always asking when it comes to things like partnerships and new partnerships being released and talked about. Can you elaborate any bit on what some of the things in the work? I know you've been having a ton of different meetings with different projects. Whatever maybe you can elaborate a little bit on when it comes to different partnerships coming up.
Yeah, I mean like as I mentioned, like we have a lot of things working behind the scene on partnerships. but obviously partnership will be announced when like both sides confirms, right? So we will do that as soon as possible. But also like when the market is not like, for example, when the market is down, like no one pay attention to these partnership announcement, right? So we want to strategically announce them at the favorable times when the market is favorable, and that will probably bring more momentum for the price as well. So that's the reason sometimes we're like not immediately announcing them. But I mean, like we're trying to pace it like every month we have like probably like every week we have some type of partnership announcement. Yeah.
Perfect. This is actually a great question that just came in, and something that I'm really excited about. But they asked if we could provide some insight into the next blockchain that will be connected.
So the next one, obviously, we'll have to connect to Polygon. And also, as I mentioned earlier, we'll play a major role in the Polkadot ecosystem.
Fantastic. And I think it's also important to remember, guys, when we're thinking about the different projects that are going to be utilizing Passport and the way that we want to approach it. I mean, theoretically, we could just go out and do a bunch of work preemptively if we want to, but we're more driven by what our customers need. And if you think about the partnerships that we're creating on Passport, those are essentially are our customers giving us their demand, right? Would you agree, Sean?
Yeah, yeah.
So whatever they demand, if they're coming up to us and saying, hey, we would really love to be able to connect to, for instance, and I'm not saying this is happening right now, I'm neither confirming nor denying, but for a point of example, if they say we would like to connect to Cardano, and that would be the next bridge that we would like to, or the next blockchain that we would like to be able to facilitate some work with. I mean, we're going to listen to what our customers need and what our partnerships need. And that's going to dictate a lot. And that's why, just so you guys know, with Polygon Matic, Ampleforth made it very clear that they want to start connecting to Matic as well. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to facilitate that. We will make that happen, and we will make sure we cater to our customers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's just about it. We're just about out of time anyway, so that works perfectly. Guys, we have time for one last question, but other than that, if we don't get one, then I think we might be good to go. We touched on some very important stuff. Obviously had a little bit of lag issue with the YouTube stream, which is why we came to Zoom. We'll get all this uploaded onto the YouTube channel either way. And typically we don't have those types of lag issues on YouTube. So we will be doing more live streams. We'll be doing more meter up videos. And obviously we want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in, everyone who's going to tune in. Guys, this will be posted on our YouTube page. Biggest thing for us, if you can if you could subscribe, if you can ring the notification bell, that stuff goes a really, really long way for us. It helps with the algorithm so that more and more people can see meter content. If you want to be a part of this project growing, which I know everyone wants to, and everyone wants to talk about where the price is going to go to and how much can it grow. And these are great questions. These are questions that I love because the answer is, I mean, we can grow to whatever size that we're going to grow to as quickly as we want to, if there's enough people that really understand the value behind the project and the value proposition that we're providing to the marketplace, which is just vast. I mean, think about Passport, think about MeterSwap, think about the scaling opportunities, think about MTR, Meta Stablecoin. I mean, there's so much value to be provided. The gap that now we're going to be bridging is making sure as many people as possible know about that, and doing something like liking and sharing the videos and talking about Meter in different places. We have a big Reddit campaign that's going to be coming out here soon. So just taking part in as many of these different aspects as possible so that people can really learn about the value that Meter is providing to the marketplace and doing it in a unique fashion. That's what's really going to be able to help push. And once again, I see another question already about, price and when's price going to get to certain levels and things like that. I mean, guys, the answer is market's going to correct. We're going to see some influxes, but the more we push, the more we get this information out there, the more we share these videos, the more active we are in all of our different social medias and just getting people involved in the community. That's really going to drive a lot of organic growth.
Yeah, I think there's also another question. We have more customers. some of them are not announced yet.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. So it's once again, there's just take it like until everything is finalized and ready to go, pretend like there's an NDA, which is, if you don't know, a non-disclosure agreement. So we can't really, when it comes to exchanges, when it comes to partnerships, that stuff we can't really give too much info on until it's finalized, ready to go, and we're about to push it out to market. All right, cool. Well, other than that, I think we are in a very good place, and I think with this market correction and with all the cool things coming out, including yield farming on MeterSwap and a new token coming out, big marketing push. I'm already in conversation with multiple different influencers. We have new partnerships coming up. We have just so much stuff in the works, guys. It's a great time to be excited about the project. So this is where we can definitely make a move very, very quickly. I think the next couple of months are going to be going to have a lot of opportunities for us all. So we just want to make sure that we capitalize on those opportunities when they come our way.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for your time.
Of course. Thank you very much, Xiaohan. Thank you so much for your time as well. Yeah, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Of course, as always. And till next time, guys.
Yeah. Bye.